CQ, this is Steve, KJ4ZOY for the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. Before we get started formally at the top of the hour, looking for anyone short time who needs an early check-in. Early check-ins only, please. Over. Nothing heard, standing by. Good morning, one and all. Good day, one and all. Welcome to today's session of the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. We're here to chew the frag with our radio friends across the planet and share information as and if we're able to. We meet every Sunday at this time, 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 1600 UTC. There are many ways to connect. Please look at our Facebook page for a listing. All licensed amateur radio operators are encouraged to join us. This is a directed formal net. Please wait till you're recognized before you're passing your traffic. My name is Steve, Kilo Juliet 4, Zulu Oscar Yankee. I'm located in Central Texas in the USA, about 25 minutes north of Austin, and I'm serving as net control this week. Actually, I'm subbing for Scott, who had too much COVID in his family and is playing nurse. It is -2 Celsius where I am today, so we're moving slowly. When checking in, please give your call sign slowly using standard ITU phonetics. When we're recognized, we'll ask for your name and city. Always leave 3 to 5 seconds between overs. There are an awful lot of relays that have to reset in between people, and you don't want your communications to be cut off. Before we get going, is there any emergency or priority traffic? Emergency or priority calls, please come now. Well, nothing heard. Good. Glad there are no emergencies. With general check-ins this morning, today's question is, what is the most unusual mode of communication you've tried out with your ham license? Perhaps there are some unusual. At any rate, looking for general check-ins, for the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. Please come now.
Whiskey 1, Alpha Delta, Whiskey 1, Alpha Delta, Northern Nevada, U.S. Good day.
Frank, W1AD, it sounds like it's just you and me this morning. Two best looking guys on the radio. How are you this morning? And any traffic? And what is the most unusual mode of communication you've tried out? Over.
Well, hello, Steve, and good day to you. We were minus 10 Celsius here this morning, and but we'll get up into at least the 30s today. We've gotten just a little bit colder. Yesterday, you got up into the 50s Fahrenheit. So hope everything's going well there. Well, unusual modes. When you didn't this first time you put the qualifier in ham radio. The second time you didn't. So the second time I do recall when I was young, my cousin and I tried the old paper cup and string thing, and that did work. We got a lot of DX out of that, maybe 50 feet, and so yeah, that mode works. Unusuals. I haven't gotten into anything really crazy, so probably just the digital modes, FT8, and that. Other than that, I've stuck to kind of the traditional, most of the traditional stuff. So back to net control from W1AD.
Right, thank you. That's gonna win. There is no contest, but if there was, two paper cups and a string will absolutely win it. That's wonderful. Myself, I went through FT8, and it seemed to me like a whole bunch of people scrambling to check off contacts as fast as they possibly could. Didn't care who it was, what it was. If they could call it a contact, it was one. And I don't personally worry about going for the numbers that much. I'm going to come back to the two paper cups and a string. Good for you. While I have the microphone right now, I'm going to say that we have run into, over the last month or so, a couple of situations where everybody, several of us had family issues all at the same time. And we are looking for people who might want to take a shot at net control once in a while. Maybe not, on a routine basis, but to sit in periodically if one of us can't make it. So qualifications are you have to enjoy talking to people, and you have to remember if it's your week to show up and have any amateur radio license. And I think that's it. So anybody who's interested, find us on the Facebook page, get me at kj4zoy@gmail.com. Smoke signals, let us know. The next month is going to be particularly hard. I've got some family illness issues. I know Scott does also, and Stuart can't handle the whole thing by himself, plus the occasional working on weekends. I'll repeat that later on, but Frank, back to you. Any more final comments? Over.
No, not from here. I wish I could help. I have a commitment that we usually have to leave home here about 11:30 Eastern time, and so that makes it hard because the net continues on beyond when we have to leave. Other than that, hope everybody has a great week, and I guess did you might mention if you did get snow down in your part of Texas? I understand that there's some bad weather that's down along the southern coast off the Gulf of Mexico, and predicted snow up into the Northeast as well. So it doesn't sound like a very pretty next day or so. 7-3 from W1AD, back to Nick.
7-3, Frank. The answer to your question is we're in the middle of a norther right now. And, you know, there's parts of the country that have a whole lot worse weather. The problem we have is it'll be 60 one day and then it was 26 this morning, Fahrenheit. As this current cold front fizzles out, there was supposed to be a bulge of warm, moist air coming up from the Gulf crashing into it and maybe generating some snow tomorrow. The supermarkets have been ridiculous. It's like we were preparing for a biblical flood. The last weather report I heard was, well, maybe it won't snow. Maybe it won't even rain. So we'll see. The phrase here is, if you don't like the weather, wait 8 hours. With the influence of what's north of here and the Gulf and things that come across Mexico from the Pacific, weather gets very iffy. But that's the answer to your question. Moving on, this is the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. Looking for general check-ins for today's net, QRZ, over.
Yeah, Mike Zero, Oscar, Mike Tango. Mike Zero, Oscar, Mike Tango. Hello, Steve.
The overnight hours, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., likelihood of you folks getting some snow. That's the highest percentage of time is just after midnight to about 3 a.m. your time, 4 a.m. So good luck with that. And 7-3 from WNZ.
Please stand by. Yeah, Frank, it sounds like you have a professional weather report. If it snows, I'll take a picture of it and send it to you. There'll be people out in parking lots in a half an inch of snow attempting to make snow angels. 3-4 years ago, there was a very significant snow and ice storm in February, and we lost electricity. And it was sort of tough for about 3 days. I don't think any of that is planned, but we'll see. You never know. Anyway, thanks for the info. Stuart, M0OMT, the man with all the switches that keep us together. Good afternoon. Hope all is well with you. Over.
Yeah, KJ4 at YM0OMT, and hello to Frank there, W1AD. I trust you well. You got podium again today. I don't know. It's becoming a habit. But no snow here. Very, very frosty. We've managed to get rid of the frost. But it's still cold. Got the heating on all day. I doubt you had a question, but I'll let you know what's happening at this end. I took delivery of my ground spike 20-meter antenna. I stuck it up in the air, tuned it, put a permanent marker on it, found the sweet spot, and wow, does that thing absolutely receive and transmit. I heard a guy on QRP with 4 watts, so I was over the moon. Easy done on 20 meters, as long as the skip's running in the right direction. But I was that impressed. I've ordered another one, so I'm gonna choose that up for 40 meters, and I'm gonna sweet spot that one. So I'll just have to change the coax when I need to change a balance, or get an antenna switch in the shack. Keep us in the warm. KJ4's at a YM0MT.
M0OMTKJ4ZOI. Stu, it sounds like you're stimulating the electronics economy with all of those recent purchases. If you've got a new 20-meter antenna, let's pick a frequency and see if we can reach each other. I'm pretty sure I can hear you. Whether or not my wimpy 43-foot long wire at 25 feet will actually broadcast well enough in 100 watts to get to you is another story. But it'd be fun to try someday when you have time. We could try it out. I have been able to hear Germany from here, and in Canada, almost into Alaska and Mexico City. So I think I can hear pretty well. I'm not sure if I can broadcast quite far enough with a sub-optimized rig. Anyway, it would probably take a try at it. Today's question was, what's the most unusual mode of communication you've tried out? What is it, Stu? Over.
Yeah, and zero OMT. If I may, I would like to interject a little bit of humor. Now, the hardest mode of communication I have found in the last 20 years anyway, the one that I'm stuck with, the wife, I have trouble communicating with her sometimes. I seem to be always wrong. She keeps telling me that I'm wrong, Steve. And I can quite believe it. Because I'm a little nuisance on that. But no, serious question. The hardest probably, I don't know what you mean by hardest. I worked AM. That was probably the best, not the hardest, but I worked a guy on AM. Well, we don't use AM regularly in the UK. You guys do on CB, Charlie Bravo. But I worked an Italian station on AM, which was just a little bit different rather than working USB, LSB. We give it a go. So I'm going to stick with my answer number one, because I'm always wrong in the first place, according to the wife. KJ4 said, I am 0 OMG.
That's hysterical. You know, the question really was the most unusual mode, not the hardest. But what I did was trying to come up with a good question for this week. Asked my AI connection to come up with questions about ham radio, and that was the one I liked so far. And it was meant to have to do with the radio, but we're getting better answers without including it. Frank has tried 2 paper cups and a string with a relative of his, and you're having marital discourse. I have to admit that the same thing happens here too. You got to understand that you're always wrong, and if you start with that, everything works out fine. And I'll stop laughing in a minute. That's absolutely wonderful. Any further comments before we move on, Stu? Over.
Yeah, and 0 OMT for his final on the net. Yeah, I didn't come back to you about working you on 20 meters. I would love to work you on 20, and I'd also like to get you on 10 when it's open. So I think that'll be what we'll have to do. We'll have to look for an opening on 10 and an opening on 20. So we've got 2 dices we can roll there. I'm sure we'll get it in the bag. Can you work 10? Before I say anything more, can you work 10 meters?
Work everything up through 40. Over.
Yeah, okay. Well, like I say, we've got 2 options there. We'll wait for an opening on 10, or we'll wait for an opening on 20. but it will come. I've worked Scott a couple of times. They were a struggle. There was one maybe a little bit better than the other, but we did manage to work each other. But it'd be lovely to get you down on the paper log as well and say we did it. Take me hat off to you. Okay, let me give you the microphone back. Have a great night. And I will be listening. I am live streaming this on TikTok. I know you have had it revoked, but it was scheduled and I didn't want to let the people down on TikTok saying, oh, he's lied again, he's not even on. Catch you later, 7:30 0 OMT.
Thank you. I think we're back on TikTok in this country. It's hard to tell. I haven't tried it. I don't normally look at it because I'm just old. And that's for younger people than me. Yeah, I'd love to work 10 and 20. As I say, I know I can hear. Getting through pileups, the guys with the amplifiers always seem to blow me out of the water. But if we try it just personally, it ought to work. This is the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. It's 18 minutes after the hour. And my name is Steve, Kilo Juliet 4, Zulu Oscar Yankee. Still looking for general check-ins. Anybody waiting to check in, please come now. Over. Well, it sounds like we're a very exclusive group this morning, Frank, Stu, and I. I wonder what happened, although a lot of people don't seem to show up till we're in our last 5 minutes on the air, and then everybody tries to get in. I don't have any more either dumb jokes or good jokes to tell. You know all of them already. So we're filling airtime. And I suppose we'll think of something to say here again. My most unusual mode of contact was FT8, and it seems like a mad scramble to me, but it does work. It can work at lower wattages. And I'm still trying to learn Morse code, and I'm still having to think too much instead of just react, but who knows, maybe before I die, I'll get it in. Having filled some airtime, is there anybody waiting to check in for the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net? Please come now, QRZ.
Kilo Charlie 4 Zulu Echo X-Ray, Kentucky.
Kilo Bravo 3 Golf Papa X-Ray.
Charlie Romeo 7, Bravo Lima, Inform.
Kilo Juliet 4, something I didn't hear, X-Ray, I know you're in Kentucky, KB3 GPX, and the last station ending in Tango came with an awful lot of static with it. Let me come back to you. Station in Kentucky, I'm sorry, I don't remember your first name, and my cheat sheet here is
Kilo Charlie 4 Zulu Echo X-Ray. Name is Charles.
Charles, thank you. Good morning. I appreciate you saving me there. As you can see here, I'm fumbling around here trying to scramble my papers. Good morning. Kilo Charlie 4, Zulu Echo X-ray. And do you have any traffic for this morning? And our question this morning was, what's the most unusual mode of communication you've tried? And it meant to do with amateur radio, but the two best answers we've had this morning had nothing to do with amateur radio, and were both sort of fun. So with that, Charles, the microphone is yours. Over.
Okay, hopefully I'll stay in there. I tried to start with and had to shut it off and come back the first time. Didn't want to transmit, but I've been in this thing about 33, 34 years. When I started out, I run some 6 meters and run a little bit of 10 meters mobile, and was off the air quite a bit of time after that. I used to do a lot of 40 and 15 meters. Kind of hard to say what was the most interesting thing, but in the last couple of months, I've got back into running 10 meters, and I've had more fun than I ever did before just running 10 meter sideband. And I've run 10, 12, and 17 lately. Yesterday, I talked to a station in Netherlands on 12 meters. This morning, I talked to a station in Bulgaria on 12 meters, and both of them were really good, strong signals.
Charles, that's interesting. I haven't tried 12 and 17 meters. Every time I try it, and where I think the propagation ought to be decent, nobody's ever there. So you're doing better. I have to tell you, because I don't think you were online, you gave a straight answer and a good answer to the question. We also heard this morning from Frank W1AD that he and her cousin tried 2 paper cups with a string and DX for about 50 feet. And Stu has tried communicating with his wife and has found out he's always wrong. And so those were also unusual modes of communication. We meant to be talking about amateur radio only, but those were a lot funnier. So glad to hear it. What time of day have you been successful on 12 and 17 meters? And that's just to help me personally. Over.
Okay, well, it's usually around 10 o'clock in the morning when I get on. I don't know what it's like before that, but the band is usually coming up at that time. Well, I said I've run all 3 bands lately. I'm just running an old TS570, running about 90 watts, and I've got an Antron 99, and it works great on all 3 bands. A lot of people tell you they won't, but it done real well for me because I've talked all over the world in the last 2 months with it and really enjoyed it. Usually 10 meters opens up about the same time and 17 shortly thereafter. There's a group on, let's see, it's 157.5 every day around lunchtime, and that's all they do is take calls from all over the country and see who can hear who from where, and just mainly just trying to see what band conditions are at that time. Now, some days my noise level is higher than others. Of course, I've got some high lines out here close, and then some days like this morning, the noise level's way down, and usually the signals hold up to around dark at night. After that, everything begins to drop out.
Thank you. That's great. Sounds like if you're talking to Europe and it's 10 o'clock in the morning your time, it's about supper time, Central European time. And that's probably why it works out. It's sort of also working the gray line as darkness comes across. That's great. Charles, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me come back to you for a final and then we'll move on. Any final comments, sir? Over.
Okay. Well, that's about it from here, but like I said, I really enjoyed it here lately. Like I said, some days the band is just not there. I mean, you know how that is, but the days that it's good, it's usually really good. I'm not into the POTA stuff. A lot of people are, but I don't really care much for the parks on the air. I don't do much contesting. I'm not big into that kind of stuff. But okay, we'll stand by. There was a couple other check-ins made it in right after I did, and there was then one real loud, noisy one that I couldn't make out.
I've got both. Thank you for the check-in at 73. Moving on, KP3 GPX, I believe that's Mike in York, Pennsylvania. Mike, the floor is yours. Any traffic and what is the most unusual form of communication you've tried? And it meant to be ham radio, but we're unlimited now because it's more fun. Oh.
Well, good Sunday to everybody. I suspect geographically anyway. Hi. KB3 GPX, name here is Mike, QTH York, Pennsylvania. 35 degrees Fahrenheit and a winter storm warning in effect here for about 4 to 6 inches of the fluffy stuff. And enjoying some coffee and a little bit of pancakes here for breakfast. Good net here so far. Thank you for taking net control as always. I would say the most interesting communication mode probably would be HF phone, especially during summer field day. I had a chance to work some contacts with the club's call sign, and it was a challenge for my ears and brain to process the information. I gotta say, I mean, it's not normally like that. Obviously, that was a huge event there. Contest, so I could certainly understand it. But even with all the great technologies of HF transceivers, filters, and things, it was still a bit of a struggle to pull out some of those stations. A lot of sideband QRM coming in there. It was quite interesting. Let me grab a reset. And most of the time, I usually work at DMR. I do several nets throughout the week there, typically at the Brandmeister network. I do enjoy All-Star as a nice mode. Starting to play around a little bit with System Fusion and D-Star, thanks to a neat little toy from the folks at Shark RF. SharkRF.com. They have a thing called the M1KE, a neat little handheld palm-sized internet IP transceiver device, and really having a lot of fun with it. Very cool product there. And with that, we'll send it back to Net Control, KB3 GPX.
Thanks, Mike. I wrote down the Shark RF M1KE, and I'll look into it and see what it's all about. If that's the same Shark company, they make a bunch of ham sticks too. And I have a set of theirs, and those work pretty well. In fact, I've made some homemade dipoles out of them. So it's interesting. To talk with you, interesting. I'm about 20 degrees of latitude lower than you, and it was 26 here this morning, which across freaked Central Texas out, but I guess we're supposed to be tough. Anyway, 73 to you. The last station checking in, I only heard the end of the call sign as M7T0, and I'm not sure that was correct because of the huge noise level that came with it. Sir, why don't you try again and see if we can pick you out? Over.
my comments at this time. Back to you. Yes.
I couldn't copy that well. Is there anybody who can relay that signal to us? Anybody with a relay, please try now. Stuart, I think that was a UK station trying to get through. Can you do any good at deciphering it? Over.
I think it was Mike 7 India Sierra Sierra. I think it was. QO that again, please.
Tango, yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm getting Tango Sierra Sierra. What's the first two letters? Well, the letter and the number. Just key the mic for a second and then come in with the first part.
Over.
No, I still didn't get it. You keyed up too quickly. What's the first part of your call sign? The Tango Sierra Sierra only.
Mike 7 Tango Sierra Sierra.
Stu, I've got Mike 7 Tango Sierra Sierra, but it is difficult to hear. Over.
Yeah, QSO, Steve. Let's see if we can get a location from him. The M7 Tango Sierra Sierra. Where are you in the UK, please?
This is Mike 7 Tango Sierra Sierra. I'm in South Shields, just outside Newcastle, in the UK. Over.
Yeah, again, a relay. If you didn't get that, he's in South Shields. South Shields. I'll leave it with you, Steve. I'll let you say hello to the chap. Sorry I interjected.
Stu, thank you. Okay, Mike 7 Tango Sierra Sierra and South Shields in England. And your first name, and can you try briefly any traffic? Over.
Hi, Mike 7 Tango Sierra Sierra. My name's Simon, and this is the second time I've ever actually made a call. I'm just passing my license in December, and I'm using a handheld with a little antenna, so I'm actually pleased that I've managed to reach somebody.
Sir, I am so sorry. There is enough static that it is making it almost impossible for me to understand your transmission. I apologize on behalf of the net. Can you try and wait a couple seconds before after I say over to let the relays reset? But can you try with your first name only, and so we can have you on the log and you'll see it later on today on our Facebook page. Again, your first name only, please. Over. Dewey Zero EVP, thank you very much. By the way, your communication is just spectacular, Martin. I've got some Mike 7 Tango Sierra Sierra, Simon in Southfield in England, and at least we have them on the log. I'm so sorry it was difficult to hear. And I'm not sure why, if Stuart couldn't straighten it out, he's a technical whiz with all the switches and connections, then I don't think we're going to do any better. Martin, do you want to pass any traffic and say hello this morning? And our question was, what was the most unusual mode of communication you've tried? And again, it was meant to be on amateur radio, but we've gotten some funny answers having to do nothing with the radio. So either way, that works. 2E0 EVP KJ4ZOY. Over. Martin, I've seen you on the Discord server. You are the second person to have tried that here, the first check-in this morning, and I believe he has had to close up shop and leave, was Frank W1AD. And he did it with a cousin with a 50-foot string, called it DXing. I think if you have maybe a 5,000 kilometer string, you could talk to him. I never tried that. That's interesting, and it sounds like fun. Stuart reported that when he talks to Jacqueline, sometimes that's interesting communication also. But I'm going to stay out of that one because everybody's XYL is everybody's XYL. Thanks for checking in. Excuse me. While there are a couple people on the net, let me repeat what I said earlier. Although there are 3 of us sharing net control duties, there have been some family issues here and there and people with illnesses in the family. Scott has an issue right now. Actually, so do I. That I won't be able to be on next week. And we're looking for somebody or any people, a group of people who would like to once in a while take a shot at being net control. And if that's the case, please put it on our Facebook page or email me at kj4zoy@gmail.com and let us know. There are no real qualifications except enjoying talking to people. And so I'll leave it at that. Martin, for a final, any more communications before we move on? Over. Roger that, Martin. Yes, Stu told me he had asked you. I didn't know you'd been able to. That's great. And what we were hoping to find was, you know, a couple people so that it didn't put any stress on anybody, and asking who else might be interested. It's wonderful that you can. And again, the only challenge I find in doing this is if there's a lull and nobody seems to be checking in for a couple minute period, you're stuck having to talk and fill the dead air time. And my go-to always was I knew a couple of jokes that people think were funny, and I told them, but everybody knows my bad jokes now. So I'm stuck filling airtime, and of course, when no one can see us to think how good looking we can tell everybody we are. But thank you very much for picking up next week. That it saves a lot of stress on our end. I'll find you offline and tell you what my problem was, because it was originally supposed to be my week, and Stuart couldn't fill in, and Scott has the same problem. So again, thanks very much. Martin, your signal is great. What are you using to connect up with? I mean, I'm on Echolink. Are you using a local node or one of the direct internet connections? Over. QSL, I'm on the WWARG hub right now also. That seems to be a wonderful system. Your communication couldn't be more clear, and the volume is excellent. You know, if we were on the air, we call it a 5.9. Well, thanks very much. And the only thing I can counsel to remember is to count to 3 before you speak, to let the relays reset so that the beginning of your communication doesn't get cut off. Again, thanks again. I better move on. It is 45 minutes after the hour. This is the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. I'm Steve, Kilo Juliet 4, Zulu Oscar Yankee, in the USA, in Texas, right in smack in the middle of the state, not far from the city of Austin. And we're still looking for general check-ins. Anyone waiting to check in, please come now. Over.
Echo 3 Kilo Delta Zulu, VE3 QEZ.
Station just checking in. Would you lower your microphone gain and try it again? You're broadcasting a lot of static, and it's difficult to understand. I think your microphone gain is way too high. That's just a guess. So if you wouldn't mind trying again, please. Over.
Victor Echo 3 Kilo Delta Zulu, VE3 KEZ.
I got it that time. DE3 KEZ, Victor Echo 3 Kilo Echo Zulu. Thanks for the check-in. Let me see if you're on my log. And it'll make it easier. And no, I don't have you on my log, sir. Your first name and the city you're in, sort of slowly because it is still a little overwhelming. My speakers, over.
Just a small correction. Victor Echo 3 Kilo Delta Zulu. That's Kilo Delta Zulu, and it's Chris in Toronto, Canada.
Thank you for the correction. I've got Victor Echo 3 Kilo Delta Zulu, Toronto, Canada, and I can't tell if you said Fred or Fritz, but I'm sure one of them is correct. If you would correct me when you come back on again. I stand correction easily. And our question for this week is, did you ever try any unusual mode of radio contact? Please come back. Over.
Thank you for having me this morning. The name is Chris. Charlie Hotel Romeo India Sierra. And nope, I'm a new ham. I've only been in the hobby maybe 6 to 8 weeks now. So everything is new and everything is unusual and everything is great.
Well, Chris, thank you for checking in. We appreciate it. We're here every week. Sunday, Toronto is in Eastern time zone, so it'll be 11 o'clock your time is when we get started. And we have a Facebook page, Worldwide Ragchu Amateur Radio Net, where you can find us and check in with the page and see everything that's going on. Thank you for checking in. Welcome to the world of radio, of amateur radio. You realize this was the original social network. Thanks again for the check-in. This is the Worldwide Ragchu Amateur Radio Net. It is 10 minutes before the hour on Sunday, January 19th. Still looking for general check-ins. Any more general check-ins, please come now. Over.
This is KQ4 India November Oscar.
KQ4 India November Oscar, Kilo Quebec 4 India November Oscar. Good day, sir. Could you please give us your first name and the city you're in and any traffic you wish to pass? Over.
My first name is Taryn. Tango Hotel Echo Romeo Oscar November. I am in Georgetown, Kentucky, where it's snowing. And you're actually my first contact on Echolink and a fourth contact as a amateur operator.
Baron, welcome to the hobby. As I said a couple minutes ago, and I'm actually plagiarizing somebody else's comments, this was the original social network. Everybody else is copying us. I hope you love it. There are so many ways to participate. And thank you for checking in with us. You might look for our Facebook page and check in there. And next week, Martin will tell you about the Discord server and an allied group of friends. So I need not ask you what was the most unusual communication you've tried. I think we're in it. Thanks so much for your check-in. We look forward to hearing you most every week and get to know everybody. It's we call ourselves worldwide. In fact, there are people in the U.S., Canada, England, South Africa, the Caribbean, and Eastern Europe that are often heard on this net, and all good people. Thanks again, KQ4INO, for checking in. I need to move on as it's getting late. It's 53 minutes after the hour. And we're looking for additional check-ins for the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. Please come now. I have nothing heard. I better go to looking at the hour. Last call for check-ins for the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. If you want to be on the log or just have something good to say or anything to say. Last call for check-ins for the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net. This is Steve, Kilo Juliet 4 Zulu Oscar Yankee. Please come now. Over.
This is KB3 VPK. KB3 VPK.
KB3 VPK. Mary, good morning. Just caught you. How are you this morning? What traffic have you? And what's the most unusual method of communication you've tried? Over.
We're just starting to get some snow. I don't know. Unusual method of communication, I guess, would be when I was a kid, the string in the tin can cup thing. We did that. Did you do that?
No, I didn't, Mary, and I'm beginning to feel that I have totally missed the boat. It's been a quiet morning. You're the 9th check-in. Counting me, that's 10, and that's 30% of respondents have used paper cups or tin cans in a string. 2 continents. So I must have just been boring. Who knows? Of course, I grew up in New York City and we could yell out the window of the apartment building. We meant to, the question meant to be about radio, but expanding it to any communication turned out to be a whole lot more fun. You be careful in driving in the snow out there. Any more comments, dear? Over.
Yeah. GMRS. Have you
FRS.
delved into that part of communications? I just applied for a license. I'm having trouble at the FCC website, though, to make my payment. It's $35 for the license. Have you gotten a license for GMRS or listened to GMRS?
Mary, no, I haven't. I think that $35 is their standard fee for everything now. I'll look it up because I'm not sure. I'll display my ignorance. I'm not sure I know what that is. I've stayed mostly with HF. But do you want to explain it all, or just let it be. Over.
Well, it's just frequencies that are in like near the 77 meter band. And some people are putting up repeaters around here, so I've been catching some of it because I program my HTs with the frequencies and seems to be pretty active, so I figured I'd apply for a license. But they can't be linked anymore. They made some rules against that, so it's RF, that's it. But it kind of comes in handy. Like a lot of guys use it for off-road, like ATV stuff and that. You don't have to take a test. There's no electronic test involved. You just have to pay the fee and get a license. That's about it.
Sounds almost like CB. Over.
Yeah. It's one step up. So far, it seems pretty mild. So I figured I'll jump in the game.
Might as well. Well, if it works locally, it works. And you know, maybe it will help on the highways. Mary, it's 1 minute to the hour. I need to move on a little bit. Let me come back to you for a final before I keep going. Over.
Okay. KB3VPK saying, stay safe, everyone. Enjoy the snow. 7-3 all.
7-3, Mary. We are still in last call for the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net on KJ4ZOY. Last call for check-ins. Please come now. Over.
Pero escuchaste bonita manera, ¿eh? Me toca yo, Juan. No apunté bien los indicativos, pero ahorita los sacamos de aquí. Escuchándote bastante bonita manera. Fíjate que tenemos una temperatura de 7 grados centígrados. Pues está bajando mucho la temperatura.
Connecting to conference WWARG.
Temperaturas bajas.
Connected.
Hoy a la noche esperamos una
The Spanish
fuerte baja
communication on our
de 1
data
grado
card
bajo cero.
service is a,
Y el día de mañana baja a 3 grados bajo
I
cero.
don't know anybody here who will understand.
Tenemos en invierno por este
I
lado,
don't know if you
pero
understand me. We were
hoy sí nos
looking for
tocó
that
las
call
temperaturas muy bajas ahora.
on the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur
Esperemos que
Radio
todo
Net.
salga bastante bien,
I'm
todo
going
por
to
este
pause
lado.
one more time
Así
before we
que
sign off.
adelante,
Last call only. Please come now.
Oscar, Charlie Alfa, 4 Sierra Víctor Lima, XC2, Juliet Charlie, Monterrey. Buenas tardes, buenos días.
Buenos días, in Monterrey. I have you on the log. Thank you very much. It is 1 minute after the hour, and I'm going to call the net now. And we will be returning all these stations to regular amateur traffic. Thank everybody for checking in. Please join us next Monday at 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time or 1600 UTC. This is the Worldwide Rag 2 Amateur Radio Net on Kilo Juliet 4 Zulu Oscar Yankee, returning all these frequencies to regular amateur use. KJ4ZOY out.
2E0 EVP and 0 OMT. Are you still there, Martin? Yeah, okay, Martin. It's just let you know I have heard from Scott. I didn't want to interrupt you and Steve. I was going to wait till the end. I have heard from Scott. He said he could cover next week. So if he could be back up, because things might change. Everything's still up in the air with Scott at the minute. But could you be there and stand by for us? Yeah, and 0 OMT. I just don't want to put too much pressure on Scott, thinking that he doesn't have any choice. But he did say he was good up to now for next week. But yeah, if you haven't done it in a while, don't worry about it. It's like riding a bike. Right, that's all from me. I've got things to do as well. Great night, by the way, Steve. Thank you very much for hosting it this week. And I know you're travelling, so safe travels. I'll not say too much. Safe travels, and I hope you have a decent time away. Let's put it that way. I know why you're going, but right on the shipping boat. I'm not a gossip monger. 7-3. To you, Martin. I'll listen round, then I'm gone. Yeah, cheers, Martin. 7-3 from me. 0 OMT is clear.